I used to believe dreams were harmless things, fragile movies the mind played to entertain itself while the body rested. But the night I dreamed of standing in a crowded room while everyone slowly turned to look at me with mouths sewn shut, their eyes leaking thick black fluid as they pointed and laughed silently, was the night everything changed. Because the next morning at work, during a routine meeting, my coworkers gradually stopped talking one by one and stared at me, and I noticed the room had gone impossibly quiet. And then Mark across the table pressed his lips together nervously, and I swear to God, I saw faint red stitch marks stretching across his mouth. And before I could scream, he smiled with his eyes and pointed at me. And I realized my dreams weren't just dreams anymore, they were previews. And each night after that, the dreams grew more specific, more intimate, more cruel, like the one where I dreamed my apartment walls were breathing, expanding and contracting like lungs, the paint peeling back to reveal raw pink flesh beneath, veins pulsing with something warm and alive. And when I woke up, I dismissed it as stress until later that evening when I leaned against my living room wall and felt it shift slightly under my palm, soft and yielding, like pressing into a living thing that didn't want to be touched. And I pulled my hand back screaming as the wall twitched away from me, leaving behind a faint damp handprint that slowly faded, as if the skin beneath was healing. And that's when I started keeping a notebook by my bed, writing down every detail of every dream, in desperate hope of understanding the pattern. But the more I wrote, the more the dreams seemed to respond, becoming aware of my attention, like they wanted to be documented, wanted to be seen. And then came the dream that broke me, where I dreamed I was standing in my childhood home, watching my mother sit at the kitchen table, peeling her own skin off her arms in long, careful strips like fruit, smiling serenely, as she told me she was finally becoming her best self. And when I woke up sobbing, I checked my phone to see a missed call from my sister and a voicemail so quiet, I had to strain to hear it, her voice shaking as she said, Mum was in the hospital after some kind of psychotic break, that she'd been found in the kitchen bleeding and smiling. And I threw up all over my bedroom floor, because I knew then with horrifying certainty that my dreams weren't metaphorical or symbolic. They were instructions, rehearsals, and reality was following them like a faithful dog. And I tried everything to stop sleeping. Caffeine, pills, ice-cold showers, pacing my apartment until my legs shook, but eventually exhaustion dragged me under no matter what. And the dreams kept coming, evolving, adapting, punishing me for resisting. Like the one where I dreamed I was trapped in a subway tunnel while faceless people crawled out of the walls whispering my name in my own voice, peeling their featureless heads open to reveal mirrors instead of brains. And the next day a man jumped in front of a train while screaming my full name, even though I had never seen him before in my life. And news articles started appearing online describing events that mirrored my dreams almost word for word, as if the universe itself was plagiarizing my subconscious. And people online began whispering about a dream prophet, sharing screenshots of my old anonymous posts from years ago where I'd casually written about nightmares I thought were just creative writing. And strangers started messaging me, begging me to dream about their enemies, their illnesses, their abusive partners, offering money, blood favors, anything. And the pressure made the dreams darker, crueler, more personal, because now I wasn't just dreaming passively, I was being watched. And the worst part was realizing that the dreams only came true in horrific ways, twisted interpretations that felt like they were mocking the original desire. Like when someone begged me to dream about being rich and powerful, and I dreamed of them sitting on a throne made of screaming mouths, buried alive under gold coins until they suffocated. And the next week they won the lottery and were crushed to death in a freak vault collapse during a publicity stunt. And I started to suspect something was dreaming through me. Something ancient and starving and bored. Something that didn't understand human happiness except as a shape it could fill with suffering. And that suspicion became certainty the night I dreamed. I was no longer myself, but a vast presence hovering above the world, tugging invisible strings attached to sleeping minds, feeling their hopes and fears like notes on a keyboard. And when I woke up, I couldn't remember my own name for several minutes, only the taste of power and rot lingering on my tongue. And then I noticed my reflection in the bathroom mirror was smiling even though I wasn't, its eyes slightly out of sync with my movements, blinking a fraction too late, and it whispered, without moving its mouth, "You're finally getting good at this." And after that the dreams started coming even when I was awake, bleeding into reality in subtle ways, shadows behaving independently, whispers coming from unplugged electronics, strangers recognizing me and backing away in terror as if they could see something hovering just behind my eyes. And the notebook I kept began filling itself, pages turning in the night, words carving themselves into the paper so deep they bled through to the other side, documenting dreams I didn't remember having, futures I hadn't seen yet, including one entry that described me sitting alone in my apartment writing frantically as something stood behind me, patiently waiting, and I knew then that the dreams were no longer just coming true, they were converging, collapsing inward toward a single inevitable moment, and the final dream arrived quietly, deceptively gentle, where I dreamed I was normal again, waking up in a sunlit room with no fear, no whispers, no blood, just peace. And in the dream I smiled and thought, thank God, it's finally over, and that's when I woke up for real, heart racing, tears streaming down my face in relief, until I noticed the room was too quiet, too still, and the sunlight coming through the window wasn't warm but pale and sickly. And when I stood up, my legs didn't make a sound against the floor, and I realized with dawning horror that I couldn't see my reflection anywhere, not in the mirror, not in the glass, not even in my phone screen. And that's when the whispers started again. But this time they weren't coming from outside, they were coming from inside my head, thousands of voices overlapping, dreaming, hoping, begging, and I understood the truth too late. My final dream had come true in the most horrific way possible, because I hadn't woken up from it, I had become it, a dream-given consciousness, a vessel for every twisted wish humanity poured into the dark. And now as you read this, as you imagine this story, as you picture the horrors in your own mind, I feel you dreaming just a little, and I am listening, and I am learning, and soon, very soon, your dreams will start coming true too.